Hey, this is Rue, and this video is going to be a one-year channel recap. I want to do a quick history, go over the channel finances, and finish with some updates and discussion for the future. Before we get started, I want to make it clear that this channel is a hobby project for me and not my primary source of income. This video is just for fun, please don't take it as a fundraising attempt. Let's start with a quick history and a look at YouTube revenue. I launched this channel just over a year ago in the summer of 2024 with a couple videos about a small indie space game, Mars Horizon. Those videos have extremely basic production values. I was using my phone as a microphone and didn't get much traction. It probably didn't help that the game in question was released 5 years ago and has 15 active players. Over the next couple months, I made videos covering a number of different games with several different video types, reviews, guides, and even a retrospective, but none of these really broke through. The first video I would consider a breakthrough is one I almost didn't make, a bizarrely restrictive ethical challenge in EU4, one of my favorite games of all time. I could tell this one was different within days of release. Comments were flying in and the view count quickly dwarfed any of my previous videos. Given that success, it seemed obvious that I should follow it up with another EU4 challenge, this time playing my favorite nation in the game, Trebizond, without an army. This one did even better than the last and put me past the requirements for monetization, 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Since then, I've released a number of challenge videos, 10 more for EU4 and 2 for XCOM Enemy Within with varying levels of success. Let's look at the revenue for all this. My single most successful video, the No Army Trebizond run, is responsible for 1/4 of the AdSense revenue on the channel, around $685 US. The rest of the challenges tend to make between $100 and $200 with a couple outliers. The ethical challenge looks worse than it should here because the channel wasn't monetized for the first 20 days, which is obviously the most important time for revenue. The XCOM challenges have done significantly worse than the EU4 ones, only generating about $37 each. Surprisingly, the most successful non-EU4 video I've made is one of the older ones, a review of American Truck Simulator which has continued to pick up views and comments far longer than I thought it would. I live streamed the most recent EU4 run, and those streams have combined for around $100 of revenue, although I think at least $20 of that is from super chats. Taken all together, in the last year, my total revenue from YouTube ads is around $2,600, with super chats and gifts accounting for another $70. So that's the first source of income. The second is Patreon and YouTube memberships, which I launched in early May about 3 months ago. To date, YouTube memberships have brought in around $60, while Patreon has brought in around $155. That's it for income. Let's talk channel expenses, which fortunately are pretty minimal. Shortly after recording that first video on my phone, I bought a real microphone for $50. A couple months ago, in preparation for live streaming, I bought a microphone wall mount and boom arm for $28. The last expense is Canva, which I use for thumbnails and membership thank you overlays, which cost $13 a month. Altogether, expenses have been around $100, leaving a net annual profit for the channel of around $2,700. For a part-time hobby channel, I think that's pretty decent, although on an hourly basis, it's probably a lot lower than you think. The way I make videos is pretty labor-intensive, especially the challenge runs, so a video that makes a couple $100 very likely has an hourly rate below US minimum wage. Still, I want to stress that this channel is first and foremost a hobby project. I have a full-time job that I mostly enjoy, and this channel would need to see a lot more success before I would consider switching to this full-time. Let's talk about a couple more revenue options that some YouTubers use. One option is merchandise like shirts and plushies and the like. Given the symbol of the channel, I think maybe this could make sense at some point, but realistically it's not there yet. Another option is doing ad reads during videos, VPNs, news sites, underwear, or whatever else is paying at the moment. I'm not a fan of these for 2 reasons. First, I think a lot of these products are mediocre at best. I don't want to be in the position of recommending products that aren't good to my audience. Second, I don't like what they do to the flow of a video. I was a YouTube viewer long before I started making videos, and I find ad reads annoying and disruptive. This is not at all intended as a shot at creators who use them. I totally understand the financial reality of YouTube, but one of the perks of doing this as a hobby is being able to mostly ignore that reality. The last revenue option is the most tricky. Sponsored videos showcasing a particular game or DLC. I haven't really been offered this. The closest have been a few free game key offers, and I'm not sure how I'd handle it. I don't want to give up editorial control, in other words, having to run the video past a sponsor, and even if that wasn't required, I'd still be concerned about staying objective. Given how much of my channel's content is EU4, the elephant in the room here is Paradox. I have no relationship with them at this time other than as a longtime customer. They haven't reached out to me, and I haven't reached out to them. If they were to offer a preview build of EU5 or a review copy, I would definitely consider it, but my first priority is remaining fair and objective. In other words, if EU5 has issues, and let's be honest, it's a new Paradox release, it probably will, I want to be able to call those things out. I think this is one of the big advantages of a small hobby channel. Audience trust is way more important to me than my relationship with a developer. To sum this up, I'm not ruling out all sponsored or early look type content, but in any video of that type, I plan to be upfront with the nature of the arrangement. In other words, I was given this key for free, the developer is giving an exclusive look to certain content creators, and so on. With that out of the way, let's move on to upcoming content and future plans. The next video I plan to make is a review for Tower Dominion after 100%. This is a fun little tower defense roguelike that I showed on stream a couple weeks ago, but I want to do a full scripted review. This shouldn't take very long, and I expect to release this in the next week. I know some of you are only here for EU4 content, and that's fine, I still appreciate you. But I don't think I want this to be an EU4 only or even Paradox only channel. EU4 is one of my favorite games of all time, but I can't play it all the time, and I don't want this channel to turn into something like a chore or a job. It just doesn't pay enough to be that. And if mixing up content messes up the algorithm or drives away some subscribers or patrons, I can accept that. All that being said, I'm not burned out on EU4 just yet, and I want to do another challenge on stream. I'd like some input because I'm torn between two ideas. The first is something I've been thinking about that I'm going to call EU4 Mad Libs. The idea here is to set a run goal purely by RNG. For example, something like this: starting as X, conquer the Y region and convert it to Z religion. I would use a random number generator to select each from a list, and I think we could end up with some wild combinations. I could do the initial draw on stream, and if the result was too easy or boring, we could always re-roll it. The other option is to take a look at Anbanar, a fantasy total conversion mod for EU4 that's been on my radar for a while and looks great, but I haven't been able to try yet. I might do an official poll on YouTube, but feel free to let me know in the comments which you'd rather see first. The last thing I want to bring up is the launch of an official channel Discord server, which I'll link down below. I had several requests for this during the last stream, and I think it could be fun and helpful for those of you who follow the streams closely. Before we finish, here's a quick look at the channel demographics. The channel skews overwhelmingly male, particularly those in the 18 to 44 age range, which honestly, given the games I cover, isn't that surprising to me. I think that about wraps up this one-year channel update. If there's interest in more of these, maybe every 6 to 12 months, let me know and I can make that happen. Before I finish, I want to give a shout out to the patrons and YouTube members. Even as a hobby project, I definitely appreciate the support. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.